When you think about One Piece, what do you think about? The world building, the heartbreaking backstories? Same here, to be honest. But when One Piece decides that it's really time to throw hands, it delivers on some of the most elite fights in anime history. And my number one fight, it's the fight that, more to me, defines what peak One Piece action really looks like. Period. Kicking this list off with Zoro versus Mr. One. Honestly, this is the first time we see Zoro truly fight for real. Up until now, he was either barely breaking a sweat, beating up bums, or getting folded by Mihawk without learning a damn thing, to be honest. But Mr. One fight was different for him. He forced Zoro to his absolute limit. He left him bodied, one hit away from death. That's why this fight was so cool for him. Zoro had to evolve mid-fight or his crew was going to die. He was replaying pieces in his head how to cut anything over and over. It didn't click. Nine-Tui was one hit away from dying. That's the moment Zoro thought back, learned how to cut anything, and became the protector the crew really needed. Zoro proved he could step up when everything's on the line. What about when the entire crew faces a monster that's bigger, faster, and a literal fucking giant zombie? That's exactly what went down in our next pick. I loved the Oros fight. It was pure chaos in the best way possible. I really wish we got more team fights in One Piece because this one gets me hyped every time I see it. If you've seen my pre-time skip art ranking video, you already know Thriller Bark needed this fight to help save it because it's not the best. Every Straw Hat gets a little shine. Usopp was out there pulling out combos, Chopper actually using his medical knowledge mid-fight. That's the kind of strategy we need to see way more of. Don't forget Frankie casually invented Fortnite way before we ever started dropping. The only reason it's this low, Robin refused to dock, and yeah, I'm still not over it. She had one job. Anyway, let's jump way ahead to the land of Wano where Roof Piece changed the game. Unless you've been living under a rock this past year, we all remember how crazy Roof Piece was. It kicked the rain into a whole new gear, and the worst generation went insane. Yeah, they had the numbers advantage, but seeing our former rooks take on two emperors got me feeling like a proud dad. Shout out to our boy Zoro, because let's be real, he was out here impersonating LeBron with the carry job. Slicing up Kaido, cutting Big Mama Kaido's flames, blocking the combo attack, and then cutting Kaido again. Get his man MVP already? But for real, let me stop glazing. Law was clutch too, manipulating the chessboard like a pro. His fruit is so busted it's damn near unfair, to be honest. And Killer, I mean, he survived, so that's something. When you're talking about the anime specifically, the visuals had my jaw on the floor the entire time. 1015 is the greatest episode in One Piece, I don't care, don't at me. Go watch it again, it's literally perfect. I'm not as high on Wano as everybody else seems to be, but even I can't deny, it definitely has some of the best fights in the entire series. And as you go down this list, you're gonna see why. Now let's take a break from the top of the world, literally, and jump back down to the early Grand Line days. Before you guys try to get me committed, hear me out. But Nami and Miss Doublefinger was really out here throwing down. We can't even picture Nami without her climb attack now. This was her first fight with it. The gags were hilarious, to be honest. Usopp set her up for failure with those weak ass functions. But Nami, she turned it into a real weapon and it was game over. This wasn't just a fight. Nami had to prove she was really built for the Grand Line. Just like Chopper example earlier, these unique strategies in the fights are what I love to see. I know it's not the flashiest fight, but if we talking straight creativity and character growth, and some good hands too. We're still on Alabasta, and there's no way I'm skipping the main event. Next up, we got Luffy versus Crocodile. If you really thought we were going to mention two Alabasta fights without showing love to this one, you're crazy. Honestly, making this list just reminded me how absolutely stacked Alabasta's fights really are. Crocodile is still a favorite to this day, and these fights are a major reason why. We didn't just see Luffy lose once, he lost twice. That does not happen. Crocodile's out here beating that ass in a fur coat in the desert. Maybe my hockey bias is showing, but these early fights where Devil Fruit weakness really mattered are always gonna hit the hardest for me. No gears, no hockey, just straight boxing and a little water. Luffy proved here why he's gonna be the king of the pirates. His will is unbreakable. Coming back 3 times, covering his own blood, using it to finally put down the biggest menace we ever seen. It's one of the rawest moments in One Piece. Crocodile was the top tier villain, probably the best to be honest. But what happens when the enemy is your own crewmate? I swear Usopp versus Luffy has no business being this damn good. What the hell? Usopp fans, just stay patient a little bit longer because this is what our boy can do when he's not held back by fear. My body is ready. Hopefully the next arc is Usopp centric so he can finally collect his first W since Dressrosa. Going back into this fight the first time, it was brutal seeing two characters that we love who love each other go to war over insecurity and ego. It's ugly, it's messy, it's personal. Don't get me wrong though, this isn't just an emotional fight. The action really hits hard. Usopp didn't look out of place for a second. Call him Batman because he took full advantage of prep time and his knowledge of Luffy. He had traps, tactics, and enough explosives to take out half of Water 7 if he had to. He put everything on the line. He knew deep down he could not win, and that Luffy probably was not going to kill him. So here's hoping Usopp finally gets some dubs in 2025. While Usopp pushed Luffy to his limit, Katakuri pushed them even further. Katakuri versus Luffy might just be one of the most intense fights in One Piece, but only if you can actually watch it straight through. I get it, One Piece loves to stretch things out, but man, the constant interruptions during this fight really pissed me off. But ship all that away though, this fight isn't just great, it's Luffy fighting a version of himself, but better. Katakuri is stronger, faster, more precise, and let's be real, for most of the fight, he was dominating. Luffy's usually the underdog, but this time, he wasn't just fighting to win, he was evolving mid-fight. Katakuri started out untouchable, but as the fight goes on, the cracks start to show. He's doubting himself, giving Luffy openings, and deep down, he wants Luffy to win. By the end, it's not just a fight, it's respect. Katakuri doesn't lose, he passes down the torch. That moment when he collapsed on his back, that was huge. It's the first time he's ever let himself be vulnerable, literally and figuratively. And for Luffy, he proves he's not just chatting, he's so close to achieving his dream. And let's be honest, if it wasn't for this next one, it might just be Luffy's best fight ever. Luffy versus Kaido is straight up insanity. It's not just a fight, it's Luffy versus a living, breathing force of nature. From the first ever hit, Kaido made it clear that Emperor is on an entirely different level. He's not just strong, he's invincible. And Luffy, he gets dropped over and over and over. But as we kind of learn throughout this list, every time Kaido knocks him down, Luffy gets back up stronger. And that's what makes this fight legendary. It's not just punches and powers, it's about will. Kaido's whole vibe is might makes right. He's the ceiling nobody could break through. And Luffy, he's just a chill guy who doesn't care. Because when Luffy's heart stopped, and you know the moment I'm talking about, this should have been over. Kaido's already won, but Luffy does not care about should've. He's not done. And then, Gear 5 happens. This isn't just an upgrade. This is Luffy becoming a cartoon god. He's bouncing around, playing all over Kaido's face, turning the most serious moment in the series into pure chaos. And to be honest, it's perfect. This isn't just Luffy's strongest form, it's freedom embodied. It's the whole reason he's fighting in the first place. Kaido is the ultimate tyrant, and Luffy's out here making a joke of him and still winning. That final punch isn't just a win, it's Luffy's declaration that he's here, and the throne is his. But way before Luffy could ever challenge emperors, he had to face the world government's deadliest assassin. Yeah, Kaido's the strongest creature alive, but Lucci was a whole different kind of monster back in the day. The government's top dog, or I guess top cat. For me, this is Luffy became unstoppable. Gear 2, Gear 3, it felt revolutionary at the time. Man's literally pumping his blood faster for extra power. That's insane. And Lucci was a beast too. He was slicing Luffy up. Using that 6 powers and that leopard fruit was a nasty, nasty combo. Every bluff flag could have ended the fight, but Luffy was not having it. The stakes, if Luffy goes down, Robin is done, the whole crew is done. It was do or die in the middle of a freaking buster call. The entire arc had been built into this fight. But the real magic, it's the moment you realize Luffy's heart is way bigger than any beatdown. You can see him barely standing, bloody, grasping. He roars out one more Gatling gun like his life depends on it, which, let's be real, it kinda did. That final jet Gatling, oh my god. The hype was so real, I almost knocked my own TV off the stand. And let's not forget, without this fight pushing Luffy to his limit in the OG gears, would Gear 5 even hit the same way? Probably not. Luffy versus Lucci might not have the flashy cartoon god visuals, but that raw dogfight energy is what I love. What could I possibly have ahead of this one? Zoro versus King was straight up art. From the first clash, King's flames made him feel untouchable. Especially in the anime, every moment of this fight is pure cinema. Every hit feels heavy, every sword swing leaves sparks flying, and Emma's out here looking like it's ready to devour souls. What's crazy is how personal this fight feels. King's fighting for Kaido and for the last shred of his people's legacy. And Zoro's fighting for his dream, he's fighting for a promise. That moment when Zoro finally figures King out, chills. He lets Emma loose, slices through King's flames like they're nothing, and shows he's definitely the future of the blade. This win was a major statement for all of the Straw Hats, and Zoro especially. This is what a King's right-hand man really looks like. And if you're still not convinced, let's talk about it down in the comments, because honestly, these fights are even harder when you know what these characters had to survive just to even get here. So if you haven't already, check out my ranking on the most painful backstories in One Piece. Trust me, you are not ready.